Prior to the operation of a forklift or autolift, read and be familiar with your AWC standard operating procedures. Before operating your forklift, complete your forklift inspection log and checklist. You should be qualified to operate a forklift and have proper documentation indicating that you have received forklift training. Check the forklift for inspection and manufacturer's capacity plates. Do not exceed the manufacturer's recommendations for capacity or operation in the owner's manual. There are many types of forklifts in operation today. There are 7 classifications of forklifts. In AWC, we use Class 1 electric motor rider trucks and Class 4, which are internal combustion engine trucks, usually propane, having solid or cushioned tires, but all share the same general characteristics. Conducting a visual inspection prior to operation is required at AWC. Inspect tires for wear, cracks, or any other damage that may affect forklift operation. If you require PPE for any of the forklift checks, wear it. Check battery fluid levels plus transmission, steering, engine oil, or any other fluid level that may require inspection. Ensure that the fire extinguisher is in working order. Check foot pedals for wear. Ensure that the steering wheel is operational, that there is no unusual steering noise, and check the operation of the horn. Ensure that gauges and control levers are operational. Make sure that the seat is in good condition and that the seat belt locks properly in place. Check all lights, including signal lights, headlights, backup lights, and reverse warning sound. Check the parking and emergency brake. Inspect the cargo load guard and locking pins. Inspect mast and lift mechanisms for cracks and leaks. Plus, ensure that they are properly lubricated. Check the hydraulic lines and fittings for leaks and wear, and inspect all cables and chains. Check the forks. They should be straight, evenly spaced, with no cracks in the metal. Test the operation of the forks up and down, side to side, tilt, etc. Finally, move the forklift and check the ground for any fluid leaks. If you discover any defects, check off the problem on your inspection sheet and notify your supervisor or lead. And if necessary, proper lockout procedures must be followed. If everything is okay to go, inspect the work area for any obstacles, fluid spills, dangerous materials, or any other issues that may result in an unsafe operation or condition. Inspect other accessories that you may need to use, such as container accessories or man basket. Once underway, here are some operating tips that you must follow. Do not exceed the maximum capacity of the forklift and be familiar with the balance characteristics of your forklift when carrying a load. Almost all counterbalance powered industrial trucks are supported at 3 points. This is true even when the vehicle has 4 wheels. The truck's steer axle is attached to the truck by a pivot pin in the axle's center. When this point is connected to the front wheels with imaginary lines, this 3-point support forms a triangle called the stability triangle. So long as the center of gravity remains within the stability triangle, the truck is stable and will not tip over. The stability of a forklift is important when you are handling heavy loads. The stability triangle is a way of describing how to keep the forklift stable and prevent it from tipping over with a heavy load. A forklift balances a load with a counterweight at the back. The front wheels act as a fulcrum or balance point. The center of gravity moves upward when the forks are raised. As the load is raised up and away, the center of gravity also shifts up and away from the middle of the forklift. If it moves outside the triangle formed by the front wheels and the center of the rear axle, the forklift will tip forward or fall to the side. A forklift with a raised load tends to be very unstable, especially near the forklift's lifting capacity. So as soon as the load is picked up off the upper shelf, the load should be lowered before traveling or moving forward or backwards. While carrying a load near the maximum allowable capacity, be aware of the following: the danger of tip over, the danger of losing a load, the danger of being struck by a falling load. Just remember, the center of gravity of the load should be as close to the forklift wheels and mast as possible. When moving the load, use extra caution when handling loads that approach the truck's maximum rated capacity. Make sure you tilt the mast and forks back and position the heaviest part of the load against the carriage. Travel with the mast tilted back to keep the load stable. Never travel with the load tilted forward. Tilting the load forward increases the load distance and makes the load less stable. You should never pick up a load with just the tip or the front part of the forks. Place the forks all the way under the load and then tip the load back slightly. You may need to tip the forks forward slightly to get under the load and later to deposit the load, but at all other times the forks need to be tilted back. Always maintain 3 points of contact when mounting and dismounting a forklift. Face the forklift when mounting. Fasten your seatbelt, apply the brake, start the forklift. With a high load that obstructs your vision, always travel in reverse with the load trailing. The operator should look in the direction of travel. When driving on an incline, always drive with the load on the uphill side. Go backwards driving down the incline and frontwards going up the incline to prevent tipping or losing control of the forklift. If no load is on the forklift, do the opposite with forks pointing down the ramp. Remember, when you drive on an incline with a load, always have the load on the uphill side. These rules must be followed if the incline is 10% or more. In addition, it's especially important to tilt the load backward and keep it low. Raise the forks just enough to clear the surface. When loading or unloading trucks or rail cars, make sure that the trailer wheels or rail car wheels are chalked, that the dog board is secure and can handle the weight, and that the horn and warning lights are used when entering or exiting the load. Never stand under the elevated portion of a forklift. Do not take on any riders. Always slow down at corners. Use the horn at cross aisles and other locations where vision is obstructed. Always operate at posted or safe speed limits and keep a safe distance from other vehicles. Watch out for pedestrians and make sure pedestrians are paying attention when crossing your path. And always stay in the cage and do not jump if the forklift ever tips over. Wearing your seatbelt should prevent a critical injury. Make sure pallet loads are shrink wrapped or strapped properly. Ensure your load is secure and that the pallet is not broken. Do not use the forklift to lift people on forks or a pallet. They must be properly secured in a lifting device. If the man basket or platform has not been approved, do not use it. Ensure safety kit, fire extinguisher, and safety lanyard are properly used. When operating a forklift, make sure that if you are not within 25 feet of the forklift, turn it off with the forks lowered and make sure the brakes are set. Electric forklifts will require charging or maintenance. Use proper personal protective equipment. In the charging changing area, the following should be visible: no smoking signs, adequate fire protection, plenty of water for flushing and neutralizing spilled battery acid, an eye wash that provides at least 15 minutes of flowing water and enough ventilation to remove hydrogen gas during battery charging should be available. If you add water or battery acid to the battery, use your prescribed PPE. Shut off the engine. Use gloves when handling propane, as exposed skin may get frostbite if in contact with the propane. Do not leave propane-powered forklifts near high heat sources. When parking your propane forklift for an extended period of time, turn off the tank valve on the forklift. Take all propane leaks seriously. Propane is heavier than oxygen and will stay low to the ground. Make sure the area is ventilated or spark or flame can ignite. At the end of your shift, power off your forklift following AWC standard operating procedures. All operators must have their driving skills evaluated to ensure desired performance at least every 3 years. Refresher training will take place when an unsafe act is observed, an accident or near miss occurs, evaluation indicates a need, new or different type of equipment is used, or workplace conditions change, or the individual finds a need for upgrading.